Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani Watson, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place. Hello ladies, and welcome back and welcome to September. I have finally got my children out of school holiday mode and back into school and nursery, and so I'm really excited to be able to come back into the podcast with lots of new ideas and lots of energy and also time to be able to record this. We had a really, really amazing, incredible summer, which I'm so grateful for. And one of my intentions at the beginning of the summer was to be as fully present and intentional with my children as possible. So I was very rarely on social media over the summer. I had some bits of work that I was doing, but on the whole, it was really just enjoying my children. Somebody sent me an Instagram reel that it was basically about you only really have so many summers with your kids. And honestly, this reel made me cry. And so it kind of made me realize, for me, time is our biggest asset. And it's the reason why I started this business in the first place, was to make sure that I had the time to do the things I love to do with the people that I love doing them with, and to actually really enjoy life. I definitely felt that we did that where, as most of you will know, we live in the south of Spain, so summers here are very hot. So most of our time was spent by the pool. We did a few trips to Portugal and Tarifa, which we're really lucky that we can drive to these beautiful places with beautiful beaches, and we spent a lot of time at the beach and had barbecues and had, hung out with friends and family. So I really was very appreciative of that break, but equally, I love my work and I love doing what I do. I love my clients. I love the programs that we've created. And I'm just feeling really ready to get back into things. Where I wanted to start, because this is something that I have a lot of people asking me questions about, and I think it's an important topic to raise, and that is the future of the coaching industry. Now, I entered into the coaching world where coaching in the UK, which is where I'm originally from, was not really a big thing. Now, it had already been a huge thing in the US, and to begin with, most of my clients were coming from the US. Then, as I started to progress within my business, I definitely started to recognize a big shift where more and more of my clients were coming from the UK, from elsewhere overseas, a lot within Europe, Australia, Dubai. And now within all of our programs, we have very much a global client base that is split across different places. The reason that I'm telling you this is that, as I said, starting out, it really wasn't a huge thing, but it grew dramatically in a very, very short space of time. It really kind of felt like the industry exploded, especially around COVID time, when it felt like people had the time because they weren't going to work and they weren't able to go out anywhere. They had the time to invest in a coach. For our coach training program, for example, people had the time to invest in learning new skills, to start building a new business. And so that was really an amazing time for the coaching industry, and it exploded. It really, really did. And we're definitely seeing this continued growth trajectory. However, I think over the past year, 2 years, there have really been some significant changes. So I wanted to use this episode to really describe what I've been seeing in the industry and give some of my kind of experience of what I've been noticing when it comes to my own business and our own clients, and just to really give you a transparent view of what the industry is like. Now, when I started out, something that there was definitely kind of a trend taking off was people very much talking and being open about the money that they were making. And for me, I felt this was very, very refreshing because certainly in the UK where I'm from, we don't really talk about money. It's almost seen as like untasteful to discuss money, to discuss what you earn. Like it's just a very much a taboo subject. And so when I first saw people talking about the money they were making online, my first thought was, this cannot be true, because surely nobody is making this kind of money from doing something such as coaching. Like who is paying people this amount of money? How are they hitting these income goals? So my first thought was to be skeptical. And then my second thought was to think, and also like, why are they speaking about it? Like this just seems a bit tacky, a bit distasteful. And yeah, it really didn't land with me at all. And then I started to really dig into my own money mindset and realized that I had a lot of resistance around money. I felt bad talking about money. I felt like being driven by money was a bad thing. I didn't want to be seen as greedy. I didn't want to be seen as money motivated. For me, that was very much a negative impression. If you were money motivated, especially in the household that I grew up in, like anybody that had money, it was almost like it was looked down upon. We didn't have, we weren't poor, but we certainly were not rich. And I definitely remember, like, if it was somebody who was flashy with their money, let's say it was somebody driving a fancy car, it was almost met with like, oh, they're a bit of a pillock, or like, there was always like a little bit of a derogatory tone to people who were show-offy with their money and with wealth. So I started to recognize, like, I've got all of these hang-ups when it came to money. And a part of me really stepping into my financial power was, first of all, being open to talk about money and to discuss, like, my financial goals and to be transparent about that. And also to start sharing a little bit about what I'm earning as well and what my business generates. Now, on the whole, it's not something, if I'm being completely honest, that I discuss a lot. I like to share about it because I like to be an example of what could be possible for people within the industry, but also to just help people to realize is that where you are right now does not need to be your story moving forwards. Like, my financial situation was terrible when I stepped into this space. And, I've built a hugely successful company doing something that I really love. And we do a very good job with the work that we do. And our programs are incredible. The feedback we get is incredible. And I run my business in a really fun and fulfilling way. And yes, I've been able to achieve huge income milestones. And whilst there's definitely been times it has been challenging, on the whole, it's been very fun, very fulfilling. And I still have lots of time for loved ones. And I want to share that because I want people to realize that being hugely successful and creating wealth for yourself, of course, it's not going to be without challenges, but I feel like there is a way to do this where we can still honor our own needs and honor our energy, and we can still be there for our loved ones. There isn't this the only way to make money is to hustle hard and be stressed and be overworked and give everything to your work and never have time with your family. Like, that doesn't need to be our story. And I feel like I want to be an example of that. Now, where am I going with this? The reason I'm sharing this with you is because something that I think has definitely been a trend within the coaching space is people talking about money. Again, this is something that I welcome. It needs to happen. But I think it's almost like the emphasis is pretty much only on the money. Not for everybody. I know that this isn't the case for everybody, but certainly for some coaches, it's very much that they lead with money as their hook for getting in clients. Now, it's a sexy hook, I'm not going to lie. It's appealing for a client to hear about how much money they can make within the coaching industry. But I think the issue with that is that people then come into the industry with the wrong intentions, thinking that coaching is this get-rich-quick scheme. And it certainly felt when I stepped into the industry that things happened for me very, very quickly. Within my first 3 months of launching, I'd made my first 10K month as a coach. So for me, like, that felt pretty quick. But I've seen coaches since then come out and say, I started my business and a month later I made £100,000 or $100,000. So it's almost like the bar is getting set higher and higher for these income goals, and it's almost like to stand out. If the money side of things is, if that is your hook, if that is the thing that you're attracting people with, it's like the only way to kind of stand out is to just raise the bar even higher and higher. So I feel like there's definitely been this kind of point in the coaching industry where money is very much being at the forefront. However, I definitely see a shift with this. And I think that people are very much waking up to the fact that coaching is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Now, again, I love to share with people, how lucrative the industry can be, but that is going to come with a lot of work and commitment and dedication. And at the priority, at the forefront of things, it's leading with that desire to be of service. I think tied in with that is the fact that if you're going to be somebody who is wanting to really start earning at a premium level as a coach and start commanding higher fees, the service you're providing really has to be backed up with, actual results, an impeccable level of service. And I think there's definitely been a trend where the marketing side of things, talking about the money people are making and, the bells and whistles of a coaching business, are given more weight than the actual service being provided. And I know that really for you to have a successful and sustainable business that continues to grow, the level of service always has to come first. Your business is only going to be short-lived. Your success within business, should I say, is only going to be short-lived if you can't follow through on the promises that you provide. So I think, yes, it's great to talk about how successful you are as a coach and how much money you're making, but ultimately the only thing that really matters is what are the kinds of results that you're delivering for your clients? Can you really follow through with those results? Are you providing a professional, impeccable level of service? Are you being credible and acting with integrity when working with your clients and also marketing yourself as well? And I think people are now really calling coaches to higher standards of professionalism, credibility, and integrity. And if they have a coach that isn't delivering on their promise, people are now not afraid to call that out and no longer tolerate a subpar level of service. Now, the issue is obviously that the coaching industry still isn't regulated. But here's another change that I really see happening. And I think I've already sort of seen it, kind of experienced it changing within the corporate space for sure. So we do a lot of work within corporate where it will either be offering coaching within a corporate setting, or we also have a program where we train people within the skills of coaching within the corporate space so that they can actually manage their teams better. So it's all about helping companies integrate a coaching culture into the workplace. And this is a really big kind of area of what we do now as a business. And as a minimum, the companies are looking for ICF accredited training as a minimum. They're obviously looking for experience as well, but it's that ICF accreditation that they're really looking for. So whilst it is an unregulated industry, and what I mean by that is anybody could essentially wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to be a life coach, and start offering their services and call themselves a life coach, and that would be okay. There's no sort of regulations like there is with psychotherapy, for example, where you have to have a license. However, I definitely predict things are going to change, mainly because the lines between coaching and therapy are often blurred. So there are very few coaches that are actually coaching to the strictest definition of coaching, which is very much forward thinking. It's very action focused. It's about, goals. It's about thinking forwards, whereas therapy is very much taking a client backwards. Now, there's nothing wrong with this overlap, because I think often the steps that we are able to take moving forwards as a coach are a product of what has happened prior. So our past is reflected in our future. So it's one thing to help a client, plan out what they need to do to get to where they want to be. But if they have a whole host of limiting beliefs from their past that are keeping up on them, those old beliefs need to be dealt with. So often we will need to go into a client's past in order to help them move forwards into their future. So the lines between coaching and therapy can somewhat be blurred. Now, because of this, and because obviously therapy is such a regulated thing, I predict that coaching will become that way too, where there will need to be some sort of license. You will certainly need to have a qualification, and it will need to be, ICF recognized qualification. ICF typically are the gold standard within the coaching industry when it comes to an accreditation body, and they tend to be the most well recognized. So for example, when we're working with companies, it's really the ICF accreditation that they're looking for. So as I was saying, I predict that there's going to be some form of regulation there, simply because often people that are working with clients who perhaps need therapy, or they perhaps have issues that only a therapist is able to deal with. And it's important that a coach knows how to adequately handle somebody where they're experiencing certain things that are in the realm of a medical professional or a psychotherapist. Something that we do as part of our training is ensuring that people know what their responsibilities are as a coach when dealing with mental health. It's very, very important. And I think this is very much a welcome change, because it's not that a coach can't work with somebody who has mental health problems, suffering with things like anxiety or depression, or have experienced some sort of trauma. It's not to say that a coach can't step into working with a client that is experiencing that, but they need to know the limitations of coaching. They need to know where the responsibilities lie, and their duties as a coach, and their ethical duties as a coach. So I think having more regulation will ensure that people have the right training, and they're basically staying in their lane when it comes to their actual profession. I also see that because now coaches are being called to higher levels of standards and credibility and integrity, I think clients, should I say, will be more savvy about who they're actually handing their money over to. So rather than saying, okay, I'm going to pay thousands of pounds or dollars to this person who started calling themselves a coach last month, I think people are going to be more conscious of, well, who did you train with? What kind of training have you done? What has your experience been? And actually making sure that they're trained in the skill of coaching versus I'm somebody who's just going to use my life experience and share what's worked for me. Now, that can sometimes be helpful, and that more is in the realm of mentorship. And there's certainly times when I love being a mentor to the women that I work with, and I have very practical, sort of actionable things that can support them. But actually, true coaching can be far more powerful than just mentorship alone. Because rather than giving somebody the answers, we're actually inviting somebody to find the answers within themselves. And when they're doing that, they're going to be much more empowered to take action because it's come from their own intuition, because it's come from themselves. If somebody needs a list of what they should do, they can go and read a book. They can go and watch a video on YouTube. There are so many practical, actionable steps that we can find for free online. So yes, mentorship or consulting can definitely support people, but I think the lines get blurred when people think they're investing in a coach and what they're actually investing in is something completely different. So I think just really understanding what coaching is, and asking for things like qualifications or a certification, and making sure somebody's actually trained in the skill of coaching. I think that is going to be more important now than ever. I think people are more and more skeptical about who they're handing their money over to. Now, of course, people are still going to invest in coaching. Of course they are. It's still growing at an incredibly fast rate. However, I think it's not just going to be a case of blindly investing in somebody because they've built up a big personal brand online and they're creating great content. This is another thing, and I think something that I am starting to see more of is this emphasis on your online presence. Now, of course, an online presence as a coach is incredibly powerful. And I think, as a marketing tool, being on social media and creating content is an incredibly powerful thing. However, it's not the only way to get clients, and the presence of somebody or the content they're creating or the views or the follower count that they have is not necessarily always a reflection of how great a coach they are. It's often a reflection of how great they are at marketing and creating content. So we have some women within the academy that hate social media. They don't want to be on social media every day. And they're amazing coaches. They're brilliant at what they do. And actually, they're getting clients, and they're getting clients in a way that feels true to them. And so these are women that, people have never heard of before. People don't know who these coaches are. They have hugely successful coaching businesses, but they're trailblazing their own path to success. And so I'm seeing a more of a trend with this, where women and coaches are recognizing that the outside version of success, what people often perceive to be as a successful coach or a successful business, there are other ways to doing things. It doesn't necessarily mean I need to be this really influential personal brand, or I need to have gazillion followers on Instagram, or I need to be posting daily. People are starting to recognize that there are other ways to create successful and sustainable coaching businesses. Now, what I also noticed as well, especially with the women that we work with in our coach training, is the priorities of why they're really doing this. Of course, money will always be a thing. At the end of the day, becoming a coach, it's a business decision. Most of the time, people are doing it because they're wanting to replace a corporate income, or if they're already in the industry, they're wanting to increase their income. Making money is a way for us to be able to live a full life, to be able to give back in a big way, to be able to support our loved ones, to be able to enjoy our time. Making money will always be important. However, I definitely found, especially for the women that we attract, it is the fulfillment and joy that they actually get from coaching that is the biggest priority. Not everybody necessarily wants to build a multi-million-pound coaching business. Not everybody necessarily wants to, scale their business and have a big team and, have all of these different things going on. For some people, they genuinely just really, really love coaching. And maybe it's not even in a group. Maybe it is just one-on-one. And sometimes I think there's this perception that as your coaching business grows, your business model has to change with that. And my business model has certainly changed with that. And I was very much sold into this idea through mentors and coaches that I'd worked with that, I had to build this scalable business model. And I love what I've built with my company. But more recently, I've been thinking about, how do I want to operate within my business? What is my sweet spot? What is my core zone of genius? And something that I recognized, I had a really amazing, an energy healing session I went to quite recently, and I had quite a few profound realizations during this session. And one of the things was that I absolutely love working with women one-on-one. Does that make business sense? No, probably not, because it would be better for me to kind of focus on my scalable products and my scalable programs. But again, it's coming back to what is it that really, really lights me up? Now, I'm obviously in a fortunate position that I do have multiple programs that I run that are in a group setting that are very scalable. We do a lot of work within corporate as well, which is super scalable. So I have that side of my business covered. So I recognize that I'm fortunate in that respect. But again, it's coming back to what is it that really, really lights you up within your business? What is it that you enjoy doing the most? And if I was honest with myself, I do absolutely love one-on-one. And I did so much of it when I first started. And as my business has grown, I've really stepped away from it a lot. And it's something recently I've really been feeling the pull towards more. And I'm going to do it because I choose to do it, not because I have to do it. But I think one of the changes that I'm seeing, as I said, is people being drawn to things because they feel really good, not always necessarily because it's going to, help them grow their business or scale it, but because it's something that's really going to be fulfilling for them. And I think when we focus on the joy and the fulfillment, that's ultimately when our income is going to grow as well. So these are just a few of the things that I am recognizing. I feel like I could go on on this subject because there's definitely more that I could talk about. But I think these are kind of the things that have been at the forefront of my mind. The industry, from what I'm seeing, certainly doesn't show any signs of slowing down, especially in the corporate space. I feel like we're only just scratching the surface of what we can achieve within the corporate space. I know that coaching within corporate isn't for everybody, and not everybody wants to kind of step into, corporate. Some people are desperate to leave corporate. So the thought of, creating a coaching business that serves corporate companies is certainly not aligned, but there's definitely a lot of growth happening in there. And also the fact that coaching still isn't mainstream. And so I guess this is actually my final point. I think coming back to ensuring that we are upholding the highest levels of professionalism, integrity, and credibility is so important if we want coaching to continue to grow at the rate it has been doing. If I went to, a general networking event, chances are not the majority of people in that room would have been working with a coach. I guess it would depend kind of what kind of event I'm going to. But let's say it was just a room full of women that were in the corporate world. Maybe they've had coaching through their company and they've kind of worked with a coach through their work, but on the whole, it's still not mainstream. And I think we know this. If we go to kind of our friends and family in real life that aren't in the coaching world, we perhaps know very few people that are actually working with coaches. And so it can sometimes feel like when we're in the space that coaching is this big, huge thing. And actually the reality is there's still a lot of people who aren't really aware of what coaching is, or perhaps, don't really understand like how coaching can support you. And I think whilst that can feel sort of a scary thing, I think that's a really positive thing, because it means, again, we're only just scratching the surface of what we could do. From my experience, when coaching is done properly and professionally, it can be absolutely life-changing. From my experience, working with a coach and having that experience, that has been some of the best moments of my life. And I think a lot of the changes that I've made in my life, I would not have been able to do without working with coaches. So I am a firm advocate of coaching, but I think the need for coaching and the demand for coaching, it's only going to continue to increase if the people that are facilitating coaching sessions are actually doing so with the right level of qualification, skill, and professionalism. So that's where, for me, my mission is to make sure we're upholding those standards through our ICF accredited training that makes sure that women are really equipped to coach and to do so at the highest level. So whilst coaching certainly isn't mainstream yet, it is absolutely growing, and it continues to grow and it continues to thrive. And yes, I think there are certain people within the industry that perhaps aren't acting with integrity or credibility and perhaps maybe doing more damage than good. But I think for the handful of people out there that are not doing a great job, there are so many wonderful, amazing coaches that maybe you haven't even heard of, because perhaps they don't have a big online presence, because, they're not somebody that's got this huge influential brand. And I know so many women within the academy that we train are these kinds of women, coaches that are really doing good in the world and really sort of leading with that desire to be of service at the forefront of their mission. So yes, I think I will jump off my soapbox now. But yes, I hope this resonated with you. And yes, if you have any questions, come and say hello over on Instagram, and let me know moving forwards any topics you would like me to cover. We've got some exciting announcements as well, exciting updates. We are actually giving you the opportunity to trial the Clique Academy. And really, I don't know any companies that, within the coaching space that are doing this, that are giving people the option to actually see inside the portal, inside their platform, and actually get access to a program and trial it to make sure that it's the right fit for them. So, I'm really excited to give people this opportunity. Our program is incredible. Obviously, I am biased. The feedback that we get from our students and the testimonials we receive really do speak volumes, but I want you to experience it for yourself. So you can go to thecliqueacademy.com/free trial. I will link it in the show notes as well. thecliqueacademy.com/free free trial. If you click that link, you'll be able to register for a free trial of the Clique Academy. So yeah, I'm excited for you to experience it. Anyway, ladies, thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful week, and I will catch you on the next episode. If you are wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.